Meister. This will be my second installment of Meltdown 2 tutorials focusing on base defense. Now with base defense you want to start off by going from the outside in, so secure the outside perimeter, then work in the inside, mostly the generator room. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to put down a blast door. This will keep people from the other team out, let people from our team in and out. Now if you notice there's a delay on it, so it lasts about 2 seconds, so someone who can be hiding above the door can actually sneak in behind you from the other team. So to keep that from happening, we'll put down some force field arrays. And since this is the main entrance to the base, we're using the blast door. For other entrances, such as the tubes along the bottom of the base, since this is blast side, we'll use blast walls, which, unlike the blast door, will not allow anyone in or out. Before I forget, you'll have to use the field engineer class to use this stuff. Alright, next we're going to put a large inventory station, one in the generator room and then one in the upstairs area. The one up here is for two reasons. One, so I can get stuff deployed up here faster, and the other is that I'm going to be closing off the bottom section of the base in the generator room later. So if someone happens to spawn in the upper half, they won't have to go outside the base and come through the front to just get in their new armor. So that's also why I'm using one blast wall and one blast door up here. Alright, the next thing we're going to want to do is put blast doors up by the generators. Never ever 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 use blast walls to do this. My one pet peeve in this game is people using blast walls to keep their generators safe. If I see you do it, I will switch teams, destroy your generators, and then laugh at you for being an idiot. To keep the generator room a little under control, we're going to put up blast walls in certain areas to keep people from getting in from certain areas. You also want to make sure that other armors can't get in through little holes like the one that it left there. And we'll be closing up the side entrances as well. So the only way into the generator room will be up the little ramp in the back. Generally, you're going to be wanting to put up the Defense Plus device before you put in the force field arrays, which I didn't do here. That's because the defense device is rather large, and because there's force fields in the way, it won't be able to be set down. And when you're using the deconstructor tool, which you can select using the targeting laser, you'll have to aim just above the force field arrays, right where the laser starts to come out to destroy them. So after you have the defense device out, then you can put down the force field arrays without having to worry about putting anything down where they are. Now what the defense device does is it grants extra health to stuff around it, also gives it health regeneration. as long as it's alive. And it'll also grant access to stuff like the shield beacons and weapon repulsors, which I'll show you in a little bit. Alright, now that you got the force fields done, you're going to want to put down base turrets. Similar to the ones that you find outside in a lot of bases like Katabatic. And another thing with the engineer, you can switch the barrels on turrets, so I'm going to give it a fireball launcher. Has a fast re-attack time, does a decent amount of damage, and then burns people when it hits them. Now these turrets automatically have a pulse sensor, I believe it is. So what you're going to want to do to counteract people like cloakers and vector porters and people with sensor jammers, put down a jammer beacon up there, and I'm going to be putting down an additional pulse sensor just in case. And I'm also going to be putting up 3 motion sensors. Now these will all add into your web of sensors. You can call it a sensor web. And anything detected within that web will be automatically fired on by any turrets that are able to lock onto them. The cool thing about motion sensors is that you can put them up anywhere, ceiling, floor, or the wall as you just saw. Alright, now that we have that stuff up, we're going to be putting shield beacons on both the turrets and the force field arrays. Now the shield beacons will add a special shield to everything it goes on. Also, it'll allow them to not be damaged immediately by stuff like the red blasters or turbo blasters or mega blasters or stuff like that that eat through shields automatically, in addition to giving them a health boost. Now this is a fairly well defended generator room. So I'm also going to be putting down a weapon repulsor out by the front of the base. Now the cool thing about weapon repulsors is that a lot of teams like to put it in front of their base to set up like a staging area for a firefight. It'll reflect the projectiles of the enemy team while allowing the projectiles of your team to actually pass through. So now I'm going to switch teams and check out how my defense does. Alright, now I'm going to be using a vector port pack, which allows me to teleport up to 150 meters and also has a sensor jammer built into it. This is showing off the weapon repulsor. An additional thing about the vector port is it allows you to go straight through blast walls and blast doors and force field arrays. Alright, now when I get into this room, you'll notice that the fireball turret starts firing on me automatically. That's because the motion sensor turret that I put up in the roof actually saw me through the blast wall, and then the turret would start firing on me automatically. Alright, this time I'm going to be going in through the top section. it's always a good idea to teleport straight into the ground when you're about 10 to 15 meters away to negate any fall damage. If you notice, the turrets start firing on me again. Alright. And watch how fast the turrets actually kill me at this point. Almost instant. Alright, after having destroyed everything with special armor that I set up just for destroying everything, which I'll show you in a later episode, I'm going to be setting up a small defense and putting up blast walls up on the generators. I remind you, you gotta never, ever, 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 ever do this. I know I get it a lot with new people asking, why shouldn't I use blast walls up on generators? And the vector port, as you saw earlier, that could go through all that stuff, can go straight in behind the generators and kill them. Time to get behind the generators. Alright, so as you may have seen throughout the tutorial, this is how to set up a basic base defense. There's some people that are better at it than me, I'll admit. But this is just to get a general idea of how to do it. So you're right behind the generators, take out your shock lance, hit it about 3 or 4 times so that it shuts off. Alright, and stay tuned for my next installment.